Yahoo. Did well on Yahoo yesterday. What's going on, everybody? Here we are, Tuesday, April 23rd. 13 gamer. We've got makeup games today. Doubleheader for who? Who's in the doubleheader today? I already lost it. I had it. Tigers and Red Sox. There we go. And Chris Sale in the morning. So, after all the belly aching yesterday of chalk Chris Sale, he gets bumped to the front end of the doubleheader and not going to be a part of anything. It won't matter.
Isn't even on the slate.
Funny how that plays out, right?
It surely is.
How was your night last night, man?
Not bad, man. Not bad. Got to sit back, watch a little basketball too. Man, some guy tweeted, and he covers the Pistons. Seems like a nice guy for all intents and purposes.
Rod Beard?
No.
Friend of the program.
No, I know. No, of course not. That is like, Blake Griffin had an amazing season. Okay, fair enough. Here's where it gets wild. Blake Griffin had an amazing season and was the reason that made people believe that Milwaukee... Here it is. Blake Griffin was the reason the Pistons got into the postseason. He was the only reason they looked like they could compete with the Bucks in the playoffs and played on one leg. His season ends as he fouls out. I said they never, not once, looked like they could compete with the Bucks, let alone win one single game. They were starting Bruce Brown and Wayne Ellington in the postseason. I'm not knocking the guy, whatever, it's fine. Brad Golly, I think, and he ended up agreeing, whatever. But I just thought about it, like, that was such a terrible series from the jump. There was no way it would be even remotely competitive. A lot of these series have been like that, but we've also had some really good first round series so far.
Yeah.
Even if they're not locked into a 7 games, we've had some really close games too. The Clippers come back from 31 points down. Sixers and Nets have had a couple great games. I'm enjoying the NBA postseason, man. I'm glad it's here.
Business is about to pick up too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's going to be fun.
The second round is this is going to be really great. That's going to be, should be 4 really good, or 4 really good series.
So you have Boston, Milwaukee, likely Toronto, Philly. And then what's it look like do you know what?
Houston and Golden State.
What's that?
Houston, Golden State.
Yeah.
And then
dude, that's going to be
potentially Portland plus whoever wins Denver, San Antonio.
Right. And that's been a great series.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be interesting tonight.
Houston or Utah snuck out a game, so the Rockets will get the gentleman's sweep here.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be... I won't want to miss a single second of basically every series coming up.
Boston, Milwaukee seems like a lot of fun.
Oh, I can't wait.
And honestly, I think the Sixers really struggle with Toronto. They have struggled with them, but it will be enjoyable to see that be a close series as well. And I don't think there's going to be a series that isn't. Seriously, I don't think there will be a series that isn't enjoyable in the next round. Although
that's a bold claim.
What's that?
I have a feeling that you can be very unhappy with the results of the Raptors-Sixers series.
Yeah, I don't think the Sixers win. I don't, but I could pretty much guarantee you it'll be an interesting series.
I'm really intrigued by Boston-Milwaukee.
I've been intrigued by San Antonio and the fact that Denver should be mopping them up, but they're good. They're just, your bench depth doesn't mean nearly as much in the postseason. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I did not see that series going the way that it is going. I didn't see Jakob Poeltl being a big piece of it. That's for sure. Rudy Gay
I'm
on the
I'm not that surprised that it's a 2-2 series, only because when you can run Aldridge and DeRozan for 37 minutes a game, but
that's the weird part. I hate DeMar DeRozan. I don't think he's good.
No,
No, he's like San Antonio's version of D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah, I don't think DeRozan's a bad player. I think he can score a lot. And
actually, that's a really good comp now that I think about it.
Is it though?
Yeah, they're guys that dominate the ball that are not really good at anything else that they do.
One of them never attempts 3-pointers. The other one always attempts 3-pointers.
Ooh, that's not true.
What are you talking about?
D'Angelo Russell does not always attempt 3-pointers. The dude lives in the mid-range. He just shoots 3-pointers in comparison to DeRozan literally not shooting 3-pointers. But Russell's not like a volume 3-point shooter.
No?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I would guess, like 4 or 5 a game? Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think I am.
7.8 per game?
Really?
8 threes a game? That's a decent amount of threes, yeah.
Yeah, that's
a decent amount of threes.
Average in this climate now.
I mean, come on.
Okay, so that jumped.
DeRozan takes less
for the record,
than 1.
that jumped massively. He jumped 2 full attempts this year from last year.
I know, but DeRozan takes no 3-pointers per game, 0.6.
Yeah. I'm not trying to say that that DeRozan is even comparable in the 3.
You're saying their impact on the game is pretty comparable.
Right. They're ball dominant guys that don't really have any other skills. They're atrocious defensively. They're not really like getting everything involved. They're mostly just volume-based scorers.
Okay.
I'm dumbing it down a little bit. Obviously, they have different play styles, but they're cut from the same cloth of ball-dominant guards.
All right.
They'd have been really, really popular in like 1995.
Yeah. I don't know. I actually think Russell's better suited for this league because of the volume that he takes threes, but
he's much more suited for this league than DeMar DeRozan is right
my
now.
point was more so that bench depth means less in the postseason.
Certainly.
I don't mean that if you have 1 or 2 great bench players, but I mean when you have a handful of like, hey, they're good bench players, that doesn't do you that many favors. You're not going 11 deep usually in the postseason.
No, not at all. Oh, God. It's another day where we start off the MLB DFS strategy show with a nice, long NBA rant. We are so bad at talking about
You got to get it out of the way
first,
and then move on.
Just think, in a couple of weeks, we'll be able to talk about Carmelo Anthony again.
Oh, God. Oh, man.
Alrighty.
That was a fun show.
So let's get the housekeeping out of the way. MLB Strategy is the promo code, 50% off your first month with us. Any monthly package you choose, including packages with Fantasy Cruncher, all you have to do is enter the code MLB Strategy. You get 50% off. You really can't beat that. And we are brought to you, as always, on the Strategy Show, on the Deeper Dive, and on the Early Bird by Yahoo Sports. I'm dropping the link into chat right now. If you're looking to sign up at Yahoo, I highly recommend you use that link. It is the most beneficial thing you can do for us. Use the promo code AWESEMO. You'll get $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points on your first deposit. Can't beat that either.
YSRPs?
Yes, the old YSRPs. I played on Yahoo officially for the first time yesterday for baseball season. I finally got all of my stuff together in my sheet, and it went pretty well.
Nice, man.
Just outside the top 20. I finished 21st in a tournament. Had a bunch of other entries that cashed. So day 1 of Yahoo, quite the success.
Very nice, sir.
I'm very happy about it. 10 max entries. I entered them all on the screen during Live Before Lock. Had Jake give me his thoughts every time I was entering a lineup. It was a fun little way to go about it. But I'm gonna be playing Yahoo every day. I really like the contest structures. There's just no like aggravation. It's okay. I got to put 10 lineups in here. The payouts are normal. I don't have to worry about anything crazy. It's just easy. Highly recommend it. Competition's going to be softer. You're going to have the opportunity to enter contests with no management fee, which is the best possible tournament you can find in any given day. Highly, highly recommend you check out Yahoo. I'm going to be cleaning it up. Try to beat me. Oh, boy. So we got 13 games. A couple of these games still don't have lines out, so I'm going to be trying to update a couple of them on the fly. You'll see some blank spots on the sheet. but we can start. A couple of these 7 o'clock games have lines, so we're good to go.
Just use your head, baby. You know, that's okay. You don't need the lines. I know you I know you got everything that needs to be input and everything, but it's all we got right now, right? So we're gonna have to work with what we've got.
Yes, we do. First game up, the Baltimore Orioles hosting the Chicago White Sox. Andrew Kashner is on the hill for the Orioles. Ivan Nova going for the White Sox. Is that right?
That is what I'm seeing, sir.
Okay. 4.7 run implied total for the Orioles, 5.2 for the White Sox, 55% chance to win for the Sox. Neither Kashner nor Nova grading out very well here. I expected them to look a little bit tastier just because of how many strikeouts are in these lineups, but neither guy is good. Neither guy gets strikeouts. Kashner projects to 6.2 Ks per 9 in Steamer. Nova 6.4. You see yourself getting to Kashner or Nova as an SP2 on DK?
No, certainly not.
Okay.
I really liked the White Sox yesterday. I don't have a problem going back to them today. I mean, Kashner's just not very good. He's not as bad as Hess, and Hess through the first several innings was actually okay, but then he began to implode as expected. But the greatest thing about this game, and this is a point I think sometimes is overlooked. By the way, it'll be up close to 80 degrees at first pitch. Here's something that's so often overlooked when you're looking at stacks, Josh. Let's say you're stacking against, you pick a team. Let's say you're stacking against Oakland, and this Oakland team runs out a starter that is garbage. Let's say Marco Estrada. Okay. I know he's on the 10-day, but just work with me here.
We're good.
Okay. So he's on the 10-day, but you stack him against Marco Estrada. And then they blow him up. Estrada gives up 5 runs in the first 2 innings. Can't get a damn out. And then what happens is the relievers come in. And then you remember that the Oakland Athletics have a very solid bullpen. A very solid bullpen. You can use the Astros if you want. It doesn't matter to me, right? The Yankees. And then your bats, you're for 7 innings or so, you're getting plate appearances against much better relievers than the guys you initially stacked against.
Yep.
So that doesn't always happen. You may get a long reliever that comes in who isn't very good, but for the most part, there are some teams that just have exponentially better relievers than other teams. The Baltimore Orioles are not one of them.
No.
This team has a garbage bullpen.
Yep.
Okay. A terrible, terrible bullpen. And we saw that in full display yesterday. Right now, you have the second highest xFIP in the league. You have, and by the way, the Oakland Athletics xFIP is higher than I would have expected, but I still think they have a pretty damn decent bullpen. Orioles, second highest ERA. They're allowing 1.58 home runs per 9. That's 4th most in the league. Just go down the list. I say this a lot about Texas too. No bullpen has a worse K per 9 rate than the Rangers. It's actually 1 full K per 9 worse than the 29th ranked team. So even if Kashner only goes 3 innings here, Josh, it's very likely, especially after using a lot of relievers yesterday, it's very likely that you're getting equal, if not better, matchups for your hitters against their relievers, which is why I love stacking against Baltimore, especially at Camden Yards when it's 80 degrees.
Sorry, we just got ownership, so I'm adding that into the sheet right now.
No problem.
I totally agree with you. The White Sox look pretty tasty here against Kashner and whatever else the Orioles plan to trot out. 5.2 run implied total. Can't really want to go a different direction. They're really easy to stack. One, they're pretty cheap, or they're very cheap on FanDuel. They're relatively cheap on Yahoo. They're fine on DK. You're getting outfield third, first out of the gate. You also get the extra second base eligibility for Lurie Garcia if he's leading off on DraftKings. Now you have to make your choices between Abreu and Alonso, where on FanDuel you can play them both, and they are $2,800 a piece. Nicky Delmonico, third base outfield eligibility on DraftKings, $3,500. He's $2,200 on FanDuel. He's $8 on Yahoo. I mean, they have to be one of my favorite stacks of the day. Solid home run potential. You're getting guys like Garcia doesn't have a ton of pop, but if he's leading off, you have the opportunity to really rack up a bunch of plate appearances. He can be on for the dongs of Moncada or Abreu or Alonso. So I love the White Sox here.
Man, so do I. And Yohan Moncada has been very good. I think you would agree that I don't know if you have, but I've had very high hopes for Moncada. Yet last year was kind of disappointing. But I'm really liking what I'm seeing here, and I absolutely believe that he was a guy that he wasn't swinging and missing at pitches out of the zone. Really, he had horrible bat control and he was missing pitches in the zone. So we're beginning to see that correct itself a little bit here. And I mean, hell, he's looked great. He has a 384 expected ISO against righties this year, a 440 expected WOBA. His swinging strike rate's still a bit higher than you'd like. It's only 9% against lefties, 12.9 against righties. But I'm not really too concerned about that. And another thing I've noticed with Moncada is he's not cheap. So his ownership stays very low most nights. And I get it. The position is pretty deep as well. But I mean, Moncada right now has a ton of upside. You've seen a few monster games here on the season already. He's already got 6 home runs, 6 doubles. He will run once in a while. He's got 18 RBIs. I mean, he's having a stellar season. So I don't mind paying for him as a one-off or in stacks. And I just think across the board, this whole White Sox team makes sense. One of the biggest reasons for it, Josh, is Andrew Kastner is a contact pitcher. The guy doesn't get strikeouts. So, what more can you ask for to put the ball in play and put it in play against a bad pitcher in a good park?
It's really hard to find something not to like on the White Sox. I will have a piece of just about everything. Admittedly, I don't know a lot about Ryan Cordell, but they look really good. They're really efficient from a dollar for dollar perspective. They're not even that popular. I mean, they're the second most popular. They're the second most popular stack on FanDuel, but they're not like breaking away from the pack like crazy like the Nats are.
Same as yesterday.
On DraftKings, let me make sure I have everything selected correctly here. On DK, they're 4th, 8% aggregate ownership. So again, not breaking free from anything. I expect to have more than the field of the White Sox. And I'm very happy about it because Andrew Kastner is garbage.
Yeah, I don't see why you wouldn't be perfectly fine with it. You're talking about a guy that on the season, through his first, how many starts? 5 or 6? Through his first 5 starts, has a 6% swinging strike rate against righties, 9% against lefties. I mean, he's just not missing any bats. You look at his K rate against lefties and righties alike. Kastner, 18% against lefties, 10% against righties. He has a 0.0% K minus BB rate against righties. I mean, these are atrocious numbers. He's issuing a lot of walks. So guys that have speed, you don't mind that, knowing that they also have some power. Gets a decent amount of ground balls, but he's giving up so much hard contact that, yeah, there's not much more to say about it. I definitely like the White Sox. Maybe not as much as yesterday, but pretty much on the same level. And let's not forget that the Orioles just had a doubleheader a couple days ago. They ran out, I think, 4 relievers yesterday. That bullpen has just been taxed all year. I don't think it's going to get any easier for them today.
No. How do you feel about the Orioles, though? It's another team where I don't mind getting to a little bit of stack here because I think they're set up okay and at decent price tags. So something like VR, Mancini, Renato Nunez, and then the lovely Chris Davis. I can get to an Orioles stack. It's not like I'm really nervous about Ivan Nova. He's just like a slightly better Andrew Kashner.
Yeah. Um, the only thing about Nova is he's definitely better against righties than he is against lefties, and by for his career, a pretty significant margin.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much that's going to play into it. I definitely think based on what the lineup looks like will determine my interest. But I like Chicago a lot more than I like Baltimore. I can tell if that's an easier way to put it.
Sure.
But also, Nova does have some blow up potential. Right now, you have a 4.8 implied total for Baltimore. It's the fourth highest on the slate. So yeah, I don't have an issue with them. I just obviously like the White Sox a little bit more. Now, here's the question. Let me ask you this. I'll throw it back to you. Baltimore is a decent team to stack when you want to pay for pitching because it's easier to get them into your lineups generally.
Yep.
Are there any pitchers where you feel it necessary to get up to them today? Because I look at the high range guys and pretty much all of them outside of maybe one, I'm like, yeah, I can do without you.
So it's unique for me on FanDuel, and I'll have to take a deeper look at this as we move on. I don't think that there's anything crazy to pay up for. I have a couple options that I like more than others, but FanDuel, the most expensive guy is Kenta Maeda, so I'm not worried. He's only 8,700. There's not a pitcher on the entire FanDuel slate that is relevant from I need to find a cheap stack scenario. On DK, like I don't need it. Like Maeda at 10K or Quintana at 97. They grade out well for me. They're probably like my fourth or fifth favorite starters. But guys like Corbin and Wheeler exist and makes it a lot easier to just get to those guys and save some money and not have to worry about dumpster diving.
Yeah, I mean on Yahoo, Kenta Maeda is $39. He's $8 cheaper than Corbin, who's at Coors, and $5 cheaper than Wheeler. To me, that is pretty spectacular. So again, I know he references a lot on the deeper dive. Be very aware of the disparities between pricing from site to site, and don't ever look to just transfer your favorite players from this site over to this site because it's a lot different. And today it's very, very different. Eflin's $33 on Yahoo. On DraftKings, Eflin is $9,400. Crazy.
That is really crazy. We finally got lines and totals for everything, so I'm tossing all of that information in here right now. Just that way I can actually talk about half of these games. I know I mention Vegas lines and stuff a lot, but they are a very key piece in the building blocks of my projections. So when I don't have them, I have to guess, and guessing on 4 separate games for baseball to start my day is just not the way I want to start my day.
I hear you.
And now we've got, it's not Domingo Germán for the Yankees, it's Loaiziga, or however you say that. I think that's how it's pronounced.
Who?
The starter for the Yankees.
Oh, Loaiziga?
Yeah, I think I nailed that then, or at least pretty close.
Let's hope I'm nailing it.
I can. It's weird. I go to the pronunciation on Baseball Reference, and it's like, cool. I still don't know how to say that.
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, Loaiziga. Yeah,
I think I enunciate the I part of it like a bit too heavy.
Say it.
Loaiziga.
Yeah, probably, but I don't think anyone would quarrel with it.
I mean, the only person that's probably going to quarrel with it is you.
I didn't say shit until you mentioned it.
That's fair. It's
because I wasn't listening, but I mean, yes, I wouldn't have said a thing.
All right, I have every line in. I have my innings projected, so now I can comfortably talk about everything that's on this slate. Which is, exciting. Copy everything over and do this. I don't like getting with the NBA, I get all my stuff together. I am I can talk about everything at 7:01 a.m. I everything's loaded. I don't have anything to wait for. Baseball, it's just like, okay, well, I kind of need to know this and this. And Vegas has been slack lately.
You don't need anything to tell you that Cashner's bad.
That's probably true. Why are the Brewers not pulling through? Whatever, we'll get there. Want to talk Pirates? Pirates and Diamondbacks? Can you hear me?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
Okay. So I slightly pulled out the headphone plug on coming out of my my mic, and I heard no like background static. I was like, oh no, here we go.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I didn't respond the first time. Maybe that added to it.
No. Yeah, it was just I clicked it back in and we were good to go. 3.9 run implied total for the Pirates, 3.6 for the Diamondbacks, which is a 54% chance to win for Pittsburgh. Trevor Williams going for the Pirates, Luke Weaver going for the Diamondbacks. Little bit of love going to Trevor Williams on DK. I would probably prefer Weaver, but I don't really care too much about either one of these guys. How do you feel about this tier of 2 8K pitchers?
Man, I tell you one thing. I was really surprised to see that start from Weaver last time out. Not only was it phenomenal, 5 scoreless, 9 strikeout innings in a lefty-friendly park, but it was against an Atlanta team that is pretty much devoid of strikeouts as a unit. That was really impressive, and now he's racked up 8 strikeouts or more in 2 straight starts. God, I don't necessarily know what to think of Luke Weaver, but there's no denying that those were impressive. And he's got now a 13% swinging strike rate against left-handed hitters. Some of these numbers that I'm seeing from Luke Weaver are actually, relatively encouraging. I don't know if it's enough for me to roster him here against a Pittsburgh team that just doesn't have many strikeouts in their lineup, and that's kind of what it comes down to. So, I mean, when I look at Weaver and I'm trying to figure out, all right, what's going on with the guy? He's throwing a lot. He throws a lot of changeups, a lot of four-seamers, and then mixes in a cutter curve. But it's been the changeup that's getting a ton of whiffs this year. I mean, he is really missing a lot of bats. 20% whiff rate on his changeup. That's up 5% from a season ago. And I think as long as he continues to use that, we're going to see him be a lot better against lefties, which is why, he's got that 13% swinging strike rate against them and a strikeout rate against lefties that has also been pretty decent, 25%, 29% against righties. So it's odd. We're definitely getting good numbers from Weaver. And Josh, he's also getting a lot of ground balls. A lot of them, giving up a lot of hard contact, but getting a lot of ground balls. It's truly a tough spot for me here. It's a good park for pitchers. The Pirates have a 3.9 run total, but how many strikeouts are in this lineup? It doesn't feel like there's that many.
No, there's not. Neither side really projecting for a ton of Ks. 19% aggregate based on plate appearances for the Pirates, 20% for the Diamondbacks. Those will be some of the lower numbers for the day. So I mean, Pirates in particular, 19% is it's crazy low, especially if like Frazier and Melky Cabrera are at the top of the order. These guys don't strike out really at all, and they're the guys that will get the most plate appearances. So,
right.
I wouldn't expect to really get to either one of these guys. I don't have much of an issue with $30 Weaver on Yahoo. I think I'm willing to take my chances
I think
there.
I'm all right with that as well. That's really, really cheap. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's worth the shot, but it's not going to be with any sort of volume.
Right. So if you were to bring it back to last year, the start of 2018, you have Jung Ho Gong it wasn't there last year, but he's got 30% K rate against righties this year. Cole Tucker, you only have 7 for him because and the reason I'm mentioning this, both of those guys are at the top of the strikeout list for Pirates, but we're talking about 2 guys that weren't playing in Major League Baseball last year for injury purposes or just not up yet. Guys like Cervelli and Polanco have like 20% K rates, not high. and then whether it's Moran or Josh Bell, Adam Frazier does not strike out. Melky Cabrera really doesn't strike out. So with Cabrera and Frazier and Bell, Moran, Cervelli, Polanco, there are, I'd say you have 5 to 6 guys that are going to be in this lineup that are below to well below average as far as strikeouts go, which is kind of scary.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. And look, this game is just pretty much wholly unappealing outside of Gregory Polanco. Polanco's $13 on Yahoo, $29 on FanDuel, and $45 on DK. Is not that interesting. But he's the only guy getting any public ownership. I don't really want any part of this game at all.
Yeah, and the park just kind of further compounds that. Like it makes it to where you're not on the pitchers just because what do they really offer here and you're not on the hitters. But to reiterate your point, I think $30 for Weaver on Yahoo is at least sensible.
Yeah.
You got him priced with the likes of, Ivan Nova and Wade Miley and such. I don't think that's a crazy idea at all.
I'm with you. Let's move on. Blue Jays and Giants, 4.3 run implied total for the Jays, 3.8 for the Giants. Surprising. 55% chance to win for Toronto. Trent Thornton on the hill for the Jays. Jeff Samardzija going for the Giants. No interest whatsoever in Samardzija. Trent Thornton will always be interesting for me as an SP2 just because he's got really good stuff, or at least should have really good stuff. And he's cheap on Yahoo. He's relatively cheap on DK. Do you like Thornton at all here?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Coming off 2 terrible games, I understand that. But I also understand that this is just an atrocious Giants team. I mean, they're really this Giants team has very few redeeming qualities. Like outside of Brandon Belt, where are you looking at them and saying, "Oh yeah, they can really do some serious damage." I mean, it's baseball, so anything can happen. But generally speaking, this is not a team that is going to get you in a whole lot of trouble. They're also not a team that has a ton of strikeouts. That's understandable. 21.5% K rate this year against righties on the active roster. But at the same time, that's not including pitchers. Throw a pitcher in there, throw Samardzija in there, it comes up a little bit. But anyway, Thornton, we know he's got the wicked curveball with the crazy spin.
Yeah.
We also know that his last 2 matchups haven't exactly been easy, right? Tampa Bay's been very good, pretty patient at the plate. Offensively, they've been impressive. And Minnesota, man, they don't strike out. I mean, you got the top of this lineup, and when you put Astudillo in the middle of the lineup, you've got 4 of like the first 5 guys in the lineup. And if you include Nelson Cruz, that's all 5 of them that are striking out at a clip that makes it very tough for pitchers to get any traction here unless they're, ground ballers who get a lot of weak contact. That's not Trent Thornton. In this spot, I think he's far more equipped to have a good game. And while the Giants may not have a crazy K rate against righties, they also have the lowest weighted on base average this year. Should come as no surprise to anybody. They also rank bottom 4 in isolated slugging. And they don't walk very much either, right? They're walking at the 6th lowest clip. I do think this is a matchup where Thornton can bounce back in a big way and give you 6 or 7 Ks. The biggest thing, though, is look how cheap he is. He's 7K on DraftKings. On Yahoo, he's 30 even. By the way, I like him more than Weaver on Yahoo at an identical price.
So do I.
67 on FanDuel. I'm perfectly fine going back to the well with Thornton. I do believe he has good stuff. I believe he's still vulnerable to getting hit by good teams, but this is a spot where I think he can rebound.
Yeah, I have no problem using him. He's not a guy that I would want to have a lot of volume in. I need to see him going deeper into games first. But he's the kind of guy that you want to take flyers on in GPPs because he has legitimate strikeout stuff. And it's not a really worrisome Giants lineup. There's not a ton of strikeouts to be had, but there's also not a lot of talent to be found either. So you can afford to be a little bit more aggressive if you want to. Higher risk, higher reward.
Yeah, like outside of Brandon Belt, who on this team really concerns you?
I mean, I don't want to pitch to Buster Posey, but I'm not nervous about it. I just know that he's going to make me work for it.
Yeah, and he's not going to strike out much, but Buster Posey's a shell of his old self.
Yeah. He's like a smart dude. I expect him to like foul some stuff off, and like if I miss, he's going to at least get some he's going to square it up, but he's just not dangerous like he used to be.
No, he's not. And there are a few guys on this team that have high enough K rates to where it'll help. And here's another big thing that may go over. Well, it won't. It would have been nice if this was at Oracle Park, not just because it's more spacious, but because Thornton would get to pitch against a pitcher. But even so, are you really that worried about whoever San Francisco is going to run out as a DH? My assumption is the answer to that is probably no.
I agree. Giants bats are getting love as a stack today, or at least a bunch of one-offs. So I have to point out Buster Posey is at 29% on Yahoo. That's different because of catcher. But we've got 12% to Brandon Crawford, 16% to Brandon Belt, 9% to Duggar. So a little love on FanDuel. 25% to Posey, 19% to Belt on DK.
I like Belt a lot.
I would if he wasn't 20% owned.
Yeah, well, I'm just talking in terms of price point. Like Brandon Belt is really inexpensive.
Yeah.
Trent Thornton also, the sample is very limited, but the bulk of his problems have come against lefties. So he's given up 9 extra base hits, 5 doubles and 4 home runs. He's given up 10, 5 doubles, a triple, and 4 home runs. 4 of the 5 doubles, the triple, and 3 of the 4 home runs have all come against lefties. So that's interesting. He's also striking them out at a much higher clip. But to me, we'll see if that normalizes. But at the same time, it's not uncommon for a righty with his arsenal to give up more power to lefties.
No, that's very true. Yeah, he grades out really well for me. I don't anticipate having much of anything in this game. The guys that stand out individually are the guys that are already getting ownership. So I know that I'm going to have naturally lower exposure caps to them. So I anticipate having very little of the Giants. And I don't really expect to get to much out of the Jays outside of maybe Randall Grichuk one-offs, but even he's getting a little ownership. This is another game where I'm just like totally wiping it off my calendar.
Yeah, I don't have a ton of interest in it either. 4.4 run implied total for Toronto, 4.2 for San Francisco. Decent homer park, but a pretty neutral park overall at the Rogers Center. I think a big thing here is with the amount of games we have on this slate, you don't really need to force yourself to like a team like the Giants or Toronto. I don't have an issue with one-offs like Belt and such, especially because he's dirt cheap. Like I even think he'd be a perfectly viable cash play. But I don't necessarily think you need to go there in tournaments. Sure you could, but stacking Toronto or San Francisco is not going to be, your first, second, third, fourth, or fifth option today.
No, it's not. When we mentioned the White Sox before, they are my second highest ranked stack on a value basis on FanDuel, third on DraftKings. I just wanted to circle back to that one quickly.
Okay. So
big fan of the White Sox today. It was the first I had every team finally loaded. We'll have something to talk about here. Mets and Phillies. I've got 4.6 run implied total for the Mets, 3.9 for the Phillies, which is a 57% chance to win for New York. Zach Wheeler going for the Mets. Zach Eflin going for the Phillies. Battle of the Zacks spelling Zach differently. Should be a thrilling contest. 38% expected ownership for Wheeler on Yahoo. 31 for him on FanDuel. 43 on DraftKings. All I can say is that I agree with it. he grades out as my number 1 pitcher on DK at that price tag. He is number 2 for me on FanDuel behind Pat Corbin. And on Yahoo, he is number 1 at $44. How do you feel about Wheeler?
Something that, there's certain things that your brain just can't recognize, like certain things you can't remember and you don't know why. Yeah. Whenever I write the deep dive, one of the things that I always forget and have to go back and double and triple check, how does this Zach spell his name?
I do it all the time. I get Zach Eflin's wrong all the time.
Right. Zach Eflin, Zach Wheeler. You go to
Zach Morris.
Zach Collins. I mean, there's so many of them. Zach Greinke. Just, it is definitely one that Zach Godley is another one.
Hey, yeah, there you go.
Too many damn Zachs, man. Just, can we uniformly across the board make it an H or a K going forward, make our lives easier? But no, I think Wheeler's interesting here. And one of the biggest reasons for me is Gene Segura kind of, it might sound weird, he kind of anchors this offense. You've got him in the 2-hole. He never strikes out. He always puts the ball in play. He makes this team a lot better. And I really believe that. I really do, because when you've got a guy batting out of the 2-hole that is going to put the ball in play, say McCutchen gets on base, and now you've got Segura up there. He's fast. He can get on base in a number of different ways. With him on the DL, I think it takes away a big piece of this Phillies team that made him more threatening. And, now you've got Wheeler, who we know can rack up strikeouts. This is still a Phillies team that can make you work for sure. But let's consider a couple things. Roman Quinn will probably be in the lineup today. He has been an automatic strikeout. Bryce Harper's good, but Bryce is striking out a lot. We're starting to see more Ks here on this Phillies team. This year alone, McCutchen and Hoskins are at 27%. Here's another one. Depending on whether or not he starts, I don't think he will, but just throwing it out there so in case it happens, you can be ready for it. Aaron Altherr is a high strikeout guy as well. So, Franco, wow, 8%, really low. Hernandez, not a big K guy. Real Muto around 21%, but you do right now. Roman Quinn, man, if you have Roman Quinn in the lineup, you're getting 2 Ks right there. And then you have the pitcher in the lineup, so you have an opportunity for more Ks there. Philly's a team that can certainly do some damage, and when they get going, they're going to pile up runs. But right now, given the state of affairs in Philly, the offense has looked very, very dismal lately, and I think a lot of it has to do with Segura. So I like Zach Wheeler today. Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to have any disagreements. I just ran my first crunch. Got 33% of Wheeler. We have him projected for 31. I anticipate being right around the field here. I would like him on every other site. It's just really hard to not want to go here. 22% aggregate K rate for the Phillies is nice, and Wheeler's just simply underpriced for where this matchup lies. Do you have any interest in Eflin on the opposite end?
Not really, but
too expensive on DraftKings.
Yeah, a lot of this too will depend on what the lineup looks like for the Mets.
Why is he so damn expensive on draft? Why is he the third most expensive pitcher? He is 9th on FanDuel and 9th on Yahoo. Yeah,
I have a very tough time understanding that. I mean, on DraftKings, it's entirely prohibitive. Like, there's no way I could get to Eflin. And honestly, outside of one game, he has not looked bad at all this season. 2 earned runs across 6 innings at Coors, 7 1-run innings with 5 Ks against Minnesota, 5 scoreless with 9 Ks against Washington. Yeah. He's been good this year.
Yeah.
And the more righties in the lineup, the better for Eflin. And I don't know if Cano's going to be in the lineup. He wasn't yesterday. He was about to pinch hit, and then they pulled him back. But you'll still see probably 4 or 5 lefties here. All in all, I don't see really the need to get there. I prefer Wheeler on the other side, especially on DraftKings. I mean, that is such a crazy price point.
Yeah, like Eflin grades out okay. If he had Luke Weaver's price on DraftKings, you'd look at him a little bit differently. But for right now, I can't really recommend it. If you get a little bit of him on Yahoo and the 2-pitcher site where he's only $33, I don't have much of an issue there. He would not be a priority, but he's a part of the guys that could end up in lineups.
Yeah, at 33, that's not crazy.
Yeah,
And it's
9,400 on DraftKings is just ludicrous.
right. The two reasons that he's viable on Yahoo is one, he's inexpensive, but two, it's a 2-pitcher site.
Yeah.
So, you have to play 2 pitchers and he's cheap. Whereas like 76 on FanDuel, yeah, you're not overpaying for Eflin, but Wheeler's 7,900. And you play 1 pitcher here. There are a bunch of guys that are cheap enough, and it's a 1-pitcher site again. So I don't think I want Eflin there at all.
I got to a little bit of Met stacks on FanDuel. I don't anticipate. I would guess that I would get a little bit similar on DK, but no real volume. Just like 8-9% of all the guys at the top.
Yeah, I don't think that's the worst thing at all.
They're a team that I will cycle through with whoever my like chalk stack ends up being.
Fair enough. I think that makes sense.
I really like Peter Alonso at his price tags, and then I really like Nimmo if he's leading off. 2,900 on FanDuel, 4K on DraftKings. The $2,900 price tag on Yahoo or on FanDuel is really nice for a leadoff hitter.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Rays and Royals. Rays 4.7 run implied total. Royals 3.5. 63% chance to win for the Rays. Ryan Stanek getting the start. Evidently, it's Jalen Beeks coming in for the Rays. I trust this team very little at this point. Homer Bailey going for the Royals. Do you anticipate getting to Beeks at all? Because if I'm honest, he grades out pretty nicely. He's only 5,900 on DraftKings, and I think that's stupidly cheap.
God. You gonna do this to me? Jalen Beeks, man.
I gave him 4 innings, and I think he's viable at 5,900.
I remember him when he came up last year with Boston.
I was gonna say for Boston before the before the deal.
Boston. He was striking out 12 batters per 9 at AAA.
Yeah.
Right. He was getting 33% strikeouts. I mean, some sickening stuff. Right. He looked really good. You pull out the swinging strike rate. His swinging strike rate was 13%. Like, all right, man, let's do it. Got a great matchup in his first start. Got blasted, just completely trashed. I mean, it was as bad as it could get. Next time, trashed. Came in long relief. A game after that, trashed. I just simply don't know what to make of the kid yet. I think he's going to get there because he has good stuff. And eventually, we're probably going to start to see him develop. And hey, Tampa's done a pretty good job of developing young pitchers, right? Young lefties too. Look at Blake Snell. Glasnow came over, righty, but still came over and looked a whole lot better than he ever did in Pittsburgh. You just got to get pitchers out of Pittsburgh and good things happen. Charlie Morton, Garrett Cole, Tyler Glasnow, the list goes on. I don't know, Josh. It's a tough one for me, though. I don't have a concrete answer here. We know that he can go relatively, deep. Like he threw 66 pitches last game. He's pitched in long relief this season. He hasn't gone more than 3 innings. And Kansas City does strike out.
Yes, so they do. 25% aggregate K rate in this game is what I have projected.
Okay. There's a lot of different ways to look at this. But the biggest thing for me is I probably still don't end up here.
Okay.
Because as I look at pitching, there are still other guys where I'm probably going to get to at a similar price point. Now, if you're asking me, hey, which of the really cheap pitchers would you go to? Beeks, I think you could really make an argument for him. But, there are one or two other guys here that I think we could at least talk about. Not many. But I'm just going to keep talking in circles if I go on about it because Jalen Beeks is still a guy to me. There's still a lot of things that haven't been quantified yet. Like I don't know how good or how bad he really is. And 14 innings this year or how many innings? 14. Yeah, hasn't shown me quite enough yet.
Okay, so I have him in for 4 innings. Do you think that I'm projecting him for too much today?
No, I think 4 innings is right around where I would project him.
Okay. If we're so I needed to start there because if you were like, no, I think it's 3, then it changes what I'm about to say. Jalen Beeks is my third favorite pitcher on Yahoo. He's $25. If we're in agreement on 4 innings. On DraftKings, he would be my 5th favorite starter. He ranks higher than everyone below Zach Wheeler.
Okay. Yeah. Now I'm second guessing the 4 innings because he hasn't pitched more than 3.
Right. That's why I asked.
And he had a couple where he went 3 innings and he looked really good.
I mean, I don't think that there's anything that can stop him from going to 4 innings. Like, if this is a good start, I don't think that 3 is like his ceiling or anything.
No, I'm not saying that either. What I'm saying is,
I don't disagree with you though. It does feel high.
Would Kevin Cash allow it?
Yeah, I might drop it down to 3 2/3 so that it doesn't go too crazy. But I think there's a lot of potential upside there. I would really just want to know how we feel about ownership for him, because if he starts to get a bunch of ownership, then you lose some of the utility of the upside of him just picking up a bundle of strikeouts in this matchup. On Yahoo, I'm cool with it. $25, it's the flat minimum salary. If you want to use him in a lineup or 2 out of your 10, I like that idea if you're trying to pay up for other stacks. But yeah, he grades out really, really well for me if he can get deeper into this game.
What about him grades out well?
K per 9, 10.1 strikeouts per 9 via steamer. It's a 3.4 walks per 9 rate, and then 373 FIP. Now, I know you're getting a lot of relief innings here for his FIP, so I don't calibrate it the same way I would if he was getting a lot of starter innings. So he's getting, when I translate that 373 FIP, I translate it using a relief pitcher's league average FIP, which is going to be significantly better than a starter's. So even that, like being a penalty against him, he just has a lot of strikeout upside, and that's sort of the thing I'm looking for. And when you've got a matchup against someone like Hunter Dozier and Ryan O'Hearn and Jorge Soler and Luke Duda, 3 guys with 27 plus strikeout rates projected, 2 of which are lefties. Billy Hamilton is terrible against lefties if he's hitting in the 9-hole. There's just not a lot to be worried about from the Royals. 94 weighted runs created plus for this lineup, so we're looking at pretty sizably below average in the aggregate.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree that the strikeouts are the most important thing, and even more so with a guy like Beeks, because you're not getting the innings from him.
Yeah, he has to do that.
Exactly. So against lefties, going back to the start of 2018, I mean, O'Hearn, Soler, Duda, Hamilton, Dozier, Owings, all at 25+%. I mean, these guys will strike out against lefties.
Yeah.
For me, it's really a matter of 2 things. Will he only go 3? If he only goes 3, I mean, you're going to need 6 or 7 Ks.
Yeah.
And can he limit the walks? Because Beeks, is definitely someone that can completely lose his command. If you're projecting him for 4, though, I can totally understand why you're getting some of him.
Yeah.
Projecting him for 3, which is what has been his ceiling this season, my guess is that comes down pretty significantly.
Yeah. I dropped him to 3 2/3, which on a dollar for dollar basis makes him like the $5,900 Trent Thornton. And I don't have much of a problem with that thought process in my head.
Okay.
He'd be a guy that I would want to have shares of if I were playing 150 on 2 pitcher sites, because I think there's some upside there. Not a volume guy, though. And you don't really need to be spending down on pitching.
I think that's reasonable.
And in terms of bats in this game, I have nobody outside of Brandon Lau leading off. I'd like to target against Homer Bailey because I think he stinks, but I really didn't get to much from the Rays side. They're just a good lineup, but they're not. I rarely get to them a lot because no one stands out with like really elite power. They're just all sort of like good.
Maybe Homer Bailey's the play.
Homer Bailey is not the play.
Maybe Homer Bailey's the play, Josh. Maybe that's what it is.
Are we playing a showdown contest in this game? Because that's pretty much the only way that I will advocate for Homer Bailey. If he is the only one of two options.
I always
And
find
even
it
then,
funny.
he's second.
I always find it funny that people think he's like this, soft tosser. He's really not. Throws 94 miles per hour.
Big time top prospect coming up for Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm. He's so one thing about Bailey has been really crazy this year. Okay, he's thrown the splitter 102 times already. 102 times. That's the raw pitch count on this pitch. He has 26 whiffs on the splitter. That is spectacular.
Yeah, that's really good.
26% whiff rate on the splitter. It's wild. And if you look at it, the movement has changed. He's getting more movement on the pitch. If that's real, is it possible that Homer Bailey actually has more strikeout upside? I don't think it's crazy to say no. And results are results. They've kind of showed us that Bailey is getting more of those results. He has a 14% swinging strike rate against lefties so far this year.
I did not know that.
11% against righties. His swinging strike rate in total on the season is 11.5%. He's striking lefties out at 38%. He's faced 48 of them. He struck out 18 of them.
I feel like you're going to be holding a boombox outside of his window soon.
Well, it's weird because I had no interest in talking about him. It's just when you were discussing, when you were going over the game, I started looking up a few things and I just kept coming across more and more stuff. But the point I'm ultimately getting at is, I mean, it's obviously a small sample, but he's clearly using that splitter a lot against lefties. Percentage used against lefties on the splitter this year, he's throwing it 31% of the time to lefties. That's almost as much as he's using the four-seamer. Against righties, only 21. If this is, and laugh at me all you want, if you get a bunch of lefties in this lineup, I would be a lot more inclined to actually consider Bailey. I just don't think that'll be the case.
Yeah.
But keep an eye out. If you happen to get a lineup that has like 5 lefties, call me crazy, Josh. I'm happy to take it. But I think Bailey would actually be a decent option, and I'd prefer him over Beeks on DraftKings at a similar price.
So no issue with you going there on DraftKings 6,200. Reasonable pay down option. Lots of strikeouts in this Rays lineup. Don't play him on FanDuel, where he is, for some reason, the 7th most expensive pitcher.
Of course not. Yeah, of course not. Well, any one pitcher site.
Yeah, but it's kind of if it's a one pitcher site and he's the 19th most expensive pitcher, or if he's 24th like he is on DK, a little bit of
$28 on Yahoo too. So it's not totally insane to think, if we're talking about Jalen Beeks, you can't call me crazy for mentioning Homer Bailey. And his last 2 starts, well, first of all, he's gotten 6 strikeouts or more in all 4 starts this season. Even when he got blown up by Seattle, he struck out 7 batters. He's given up home runs, 3 of them on the year. All 3 of them came against Seattle. So, yeah, I think he actually does look better. More movement on the splitter. Phenomenal results on the pitch. I just like to see him face more lefties, and it'd be nice. But hey, the Yankees don't have a lot of lefties, and he mowed them down.
That's very true. Talking me into it a little bit on 2 pitcher sites. I don't really care for anything else in this game. No real bats standing out outside of Lau at the top. Don't really have any interest in Royals, although I never mind having Mondesi. I didn't get to anybody. No one in this entire game is projected for more than 7% ownership on either side on any one of the 3 sites. So, do you have any bats that you want to point out?
Well, I agree with you on Brandon Lau. Having no Austin Meadows isn't great. But for Bailey's sake, it certainly shouldn't hurt him, right? I mean, Meadows has been ridiculous to start the year before he hit the IL. So, no, I think I agree with you on this. And from a strikeout standpoint, like you're gonna still get guys that K for Tampa. Zunino, as we know, is a high K, is definitely a high K guy.
Yeah.
I mean, no question. And or I'm sorry, yeah,
You're
I
good.
pulled up the I had the wrong page pulled up. But yeah, Zunino, and really depending who's in the lineup, you might have a few guys that are around like 24, 25, 26%. So just keep an eye out on what the lineup looks like. It could actually be a decent spot for Bailey in a good pitcher park. That's all.
Good time to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, everybody. You can get alerts immediately upon us going live. So hit the like button. Looks like a thumbs up. And subscribe to the channel so you can get your alerts. And it all helps us, which is even more beneficial. And it takes like 5 seconds of your time. Reds. Yeah, there you go. Even less. Red Sox and Tigers in the second game of a doubleheader. 5.4 run implied total for the Red Sox. 4.1 for the Tigers. 62% chance to win for Boston. Hector Velasquez going for the Red Sox. Spencer Turnbull going for the Tigers. I did not get to either of these guys on any site. They don't really grade out well for me on any site, and they're not getting any public ownership. Do you like Velasquez or Turnbull?
No, I do not. The only argument to be made is it's the second game of a doubleheader, and maybe these lineups look a little bit different, and we see some.
They will for sure.
See some replacement players in there.
Yeah.
Overall though, Hector Velasquez has been, I guess, okay.
Yeah.
But how many pitches is he going to throw? I know he got up to 57 last time out. How many pitches are we going to get from him? What do you have him projected at innings?
I gave him 5 innings.
You gave him 5 innings?
I did.
So I'm curious here because he is basically he's very comparable in price to Beeks. Do you have Beeks grading out above him?
Yes.
Okay, and the reason being, I mean, Velasquez is not a high K guy.
Right.
Never was, not even at the minor league level. The matchup against Detroit is not bad whatsoever. So I guess that, makes it a little bit more interesting. And I don't think if you're playing 150 lineups, I actually don't think it's insane to have some interest in Velasquez. You will get some strikeouts from against righties for this Detroit team. They do have guys that will K. Castellanos, 24%. Candelario is 26%. The list goes on with a bunch of guys that are going to be up there. Who else? You have the list, I'm sure, in front of you. There's a bunch of guys here that Nico Goodrum is going to strike out at a high clip.
Yes. Candelario, Jacoby Jones, John Hicks. I mean, there's a lot here.
Yeah, and then if Grayson Greiner's in the lineup, he's another guy that strikes out at a very high clip.
Yeah.
Against righties. Yeah, Miggy Cabrera and Josh Harrison are like the two guys that don't. Other than that, they're all at 24% or higher.
Yeah, bats are very appealing to me in this spot. Both sides even. Although it's not as if I'm getting to a lot of the Tigers. It's just that the public is getting to none. I have on FanDuel, I have double the field on Red Sox and Tigers.
See, that's interesting from the Tigers' perspective. Like, I can see where you say, yeah, well, they're going to put a lot of balls in play. That would make sense. But I don't think Rodriguez is bad.
By the way, when I say I have double the field on the Tigers, we have them projected for 2% aggregate ownership, and I got to 4.
Okay, that's fair then. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's mostly like Harrison, Castellanos, Cabrera, like the guys with a heartbeat.
Right. All right. The biggest thing is he doesn't get a lot of strikeouts, but he also gets a lot of ground balls.
Yeah.
And a lot of soft contact. So it's kind of just like a neutral spot for me. I could see him going 5 innings with 1 run and 1 strikeout, or, get 5 strikeouts and, 1 or 2 of them looking. But it's a tough spot to project because the guy doesn't miss a lot of bats.
I'm going to end up having quite a bit of Boston, though. They're just underpriced really bad on FanDuel. They're just underpriced in general. But $3,900 Benintendi in the leadoff spot, that's one of the more efficient plays you can make. And he's projected for almost no ownership. I don't understand it.
I hear you on that one. I've got 0 problems with it. I don't think Turnbull's terrible, but he's definitely not good enough to say, "Oh, I'm staying away from this one."
Right, 5.4. They have the highest implied total on the slate of what I have entered in here now. At the very least, they're somewhere at the top.
Yeah.
So, as always, I will bet on just overall talent, especially when it's underpriced and apparently underrepresented.
Well, also it's at Fenway Park, just such a great righty park. Yeah, not sure what there isn't to. Well, I'm not sure what not to like about this. And Turnbull can get some swings and misses. He can get some strikeouts, but there's a Boston team here that you're not going to get many strikeouts. A lot of contact righty bats in this lineup, lefties as well. So I think it just could be a problem here. If you're putting balls in play at Fenway, that's going to get dicey for you. And Turnbull's getting a league average amount of ground balls this year as well, so it might not work out for him.
I'm just updating this Brewers Cardinals line right now, and then we are good to move on. Moved a little bit since it opened.
While you do it, I'll point out that since the start of last year, the active roster for the Red Sox is bottom 7 in strikeout rate against right-handed pitchers.
Good to know.
So, Turnbull has had a few really nice starts, a couple, I should say, this season. Not sure he's going to have the same luck today. This is actually the first really difficult matchup he's had. He got Toronto to start the year when they were god-awful, Kansas City, Cleveland without Lindor, and then Pittsburgh. This is clearly his toughest matchup of the season. It's not close.
Oh, without question. Cardinals and Brewers. 4.6 run implied total for the Cards, 4.4 for the Brewers, 52% chance to win for St. Louis. Daniel Ponce de Leon going for the Cardinals. I don't know why I said it with a real dumb accent. I immediately regret that decision. Zach Davies going for Milwaukee. I have no interest in either one of these starters. Do you?
Definitely not Zach Davies. You will never get sufficient strikeout totals from him. And it's not like he's facing a bad team either. Disciplined St. Louis team, decent amount of power. Davies has never been a serious, never had really pronounced splits. So the fact that you have a lot of righties in this lineup is not going to help him all that much. And then Ponce de Leon, he was a big strikeout guy in AAA last year. I think he was like 10.5 Ks per 9. Pulling it up now, 10.3 Ks per 9 with a 27% K rate. Not bad at all. But okay, let me ask you this. So the Milwaukee Brewers, I think there's kind of I mentioned yesterday that Flaherty could give up runs almost verbatim, but he has 10 strikeout upside in this game. And I'm not pointing that out to boast. What I'm saying is he did get 10 Ks. Yeah. He gave up 4 runs, and he still had a very solid start.
Gave up a couple bombs.
Yeah, he gave up 3 home runs, but he had 27 DK points. Okay, You'll take that all day long. And then on FanDuel, my God, you're getting. Was that not a quality start? I don't think it really matters much. But
he gave up more than 3 runs, right?
Right. He gave up 4. I thought he gave up 3 solo shots, but yeah, looking at it now, it was 4 runs. But ultimately, all I'm saying is the he had 42 FanDuel points.
Yeah.
The Milwaukee Brewers, they do strike out a lot against righties. Like this year. Oh, and it's not at Miller Park where Christian Yelich has hit all of his home runs. Pretty incredible. Do you think that Ponce de Leon has strikeout upside here against the Brewers team? Right now on the season, they're striking out at a 26% clip third highest in the league behind only the Blue Jays and the Marlins. Obviously very potent, but it's a good chance that Moustakas remains out of the lineup again today. What do you think here? Can we get the K upside, or is it too dangerous for you? I think it's a valid question.
Yeah, I don't have much interest in Ponce de Leon. He doesn't really grade out well from a strikeout perspective, and I have the Brewers as my most exposed stack on the day.
Okay,
They are number one on FanDuel in just what came up from my crunch. They are number one from a value perspective. They're second on DraftKings, and they are fourth on Yahoo. So I'm all over these Brewers bats today, and have actually let me correct. Brewers number one on Yahoo for me. I don't see much upside in Ponce de Leon.
Okay.
And I have him in for 5 innings. But he is not a guy that I would be advocating for. I very much like the opposite side. And the Brewers in our first ownership projections are super low, essentially unowned. So getting like 10 to 15% of these guys sounds real damn tasty to me.
Yeah, I mean, I like both sides of it. I don't want to shortchange Ponce de Leon's ability to get strikeouts. Last year he threw 33 innings at the major league level, had a 12.6% swinging strike rate. Like he missed a ton of bats, and as long as you can do that, I'm not totally opposed to giving you a look. Another thing too is he got a lot of swings and misses against lefties. He struck out 28% on 65 batters faced. Once again, you're talking about a small sample here, but I am intrigued by the matchup, especially if Moustakas is out of the lineup, that doesn't hurt. Temperatures are going to be like 12, 13 degrees cooler at Busch Stadium than they were yesterday when it was 80 degrees at first pitch. Wouldn't be that surprised to see Ponce de Leon go out there, give up 3 runs, and also strike out 8. Like a lesser version or a lesser Jack Flaherty effort would not shock me here with the Brewers being outside of Miller Park. That's all.
Ooh, that one scares me. You mentioned liking the Cardinals bats a little bit. I did not get to much.
I didn't say that. I just said that I think they pose a spot for Davies where there's no real upside.
I like more individual bats here. Matt Carpenter leading off is just perpetually underpriced. I think Marcell Ozuna has a okay price tag. I mean, he's probably a hair overpriced, but I like him in this spot. I never really have any issue taking Goldschmidt, but I think you can get more efficient first base options. The reason that I likely won't get to much Cardinals is just because Zach Davies won't get any ownership, so feels a bit forcey outside of Matt Carpenter.
Yeah.
Jose Martinez for $11 on Yahoo I can deal with too.
Davies for his career allows 1.15 home runs per 9 at home, 0.76 home runs per 9 on the road. He's also a guy that never gets any strikeouts, but everybody should know that at home and on the road, you're going to see some pronounced power splits for a guy like Davies when he's pitched, all of his major league career for the Brewers. So, yeah, I mean, I think it helps him getting out of Miller Park. He's not a guy that gives up much power at all. Less than a home run per 9 allowed in like almost every season. But, it's just not a spot that I love on either side. If you're forcing me to go one way or the other, it's definitely going to be the Cardinals, though.
Okay. Cubs and Dodgers. 4.8 run implied total for the Cubs, 4.7 for the Dodgers. The 51% chance to win for the Cubs. Jose Quintana going for Chicago. Kenta Maeda going for the Dodgers. Both starters grade out well. Maeda is the most expensive pitcher on FanDuel, 4th most for Quintana. Maeda, most expensive pitcher on DK. Quintana is 2nd. I like both of these guys. They don't have any problematic grades for me. They're just more expensive than some of the other guys that I think are just as efficient as them today. So the implied total is getting a little high. I don't anticipate getting to much of Quintana or Maeda. Do you have any real hot takes on either one?
I don't have any hot takes, but I will just give you my quick thoughts on him. I believe that Kenta Maeda is a very good pitcher,
Yep.
and the more righties in the lineup for the Cubs, the more I like Kenta Maeda. It sounds pretty basic, but it is. He's really good against righties. I mean, Kenta Maeda is really, really good against righties.
Yeah.
I don't know how many they'll have. I'm looking
They
at it
got
now.
3 right now.
I'm assuming 3 righties. Do you think what is all that'll be in there?
Bryant, Baez, Contreras is in the projected lineup right now.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't bode particularly well for him. Well, no, Quintana is another one. So
Is he? Does he bat righty?
he bats righty.
I mean,
yeah.
I don't give. He could bat
Whatever he wants. He's still a
Damn.
pitcher hitting, and
Yeah.
and
I don't care if he bats lefty. It makes no difference to me.
right. But he's still he does bat right, and he's still a pitcher, so that's good. What's the weather like at Wrigley?
Well, the weather
No wind,
outside
no real
is
wind,
weather.
but 50 degrees going down to 47 degrees.
That's brisk.
Man, this one's tough. This is tough for me. I don't know if I want to spend that much for Kenta Maeda is probably what it comes down to. He's a good pitcher, Josh, and on Yahoo, I have a ton of interest in him. Is that a cough or a sneeze?
Cough.
Okay.
Thought I got to the button quick enough. I didn't.
Okay, what do you think? $39 on Yahoo. We know he's a good pitcher. Also, Dave Roberts has not had him on a leash this year. 106 pitches, 98 pitches, got into a little bit of a jam, 91. Like, he lets him go. If he needs 100 pitches to get through 6 or 7 innings, Roberts will let him go. And I think that's also pretty encouraging.
Yeah, like he grades out as my 3rd best pitcher, dollar for dollar on Yahoo. He's 3rd on FanDuel. He's 3rd on DK. So I like him, but he just feels like unnecessary.
I agree with you there. That's kind of what it's coming down. In Yahoo, I don't think he's totally unnecessary.
I would have more of him on Yahoo than anywhere else.
Yeah, it's just super easy to get there. What are your thoughts though on Quintana? I mean, he's
Same
throwing
exact story, by the way.
Yeah, right. Kind of, yeah. That he's throwing more of the changeup. The pitch is getting him a ton of swings and misses. And my guess would be that it's coming almost exclusively against righties. That would be correct. 21% of the time against righties. Against lefties, he's throwing it. Oh no. You know what? I'm wrong. I had whiff percentage
What
pulled
else
up.
is new?
I had whiff percentage pulled up, but 21% whiff percentage ain't bad, Josh.
No.
4% of the time he's throwing it to lefties. To righties, he's throwing it 13% of the time. So yeah, pretty much exclusively to righties. He has been better this year. I mean, he has been much, much better.
Everything I said about Maeda is the exact same stance for Quintana. Only Quintana is like a hair behind Maeda. So every time that I said Maeda was 3rd, Quintana is 4th.
Right.
So like they grade out really well, but there are pitchers on every site that are like $1,000 cheaper than them that are the guys that are going to get my volume. So I will have exposure to Quintana. I will have exposure to Maeda. Quintana at 25% on Yahoo, Maeda at 12. Like I greatly prefer Maeda in that scenario.
Oh my God, not even close.
But like on FanDuel for me, I'll have I got 2% Quintana, 4% Maeda. It's going to be somewhere in that like single digits range for both of them, and that's kind of fine for me. I got to a lot of Cubs bats. They are getting no ownership whatsoever on FanDuel. I got to a little bit of Dodgers, but I'm over the field on the hitters here and not the pitchers.
All right. Okay. I guess I could see that. This one was like, when I was going through all the games, this was the toughest one for me. Just because I think both of these pitchers on a slate like this, they do have a good amount of upside. And I mean, the K rates against lefties for the Dodgers You have guys like Muncy who's going to strike out a decent amount, and then I guess Barnes, Bellinger's at around 25%. It kind of falls off a cliff though because Kike Hernandez, that's a tough out.
Yeah.
AJ Pollock, that's a tough out. Justin Turner, that's a tough out. Even Jock Peterson, another tough out, lefty. There are some really tough outs in this Dodgers lineup, Josh, and that's where that's enough for me to say I cannot trust Quintana here. But hey, if he has a really dominant start, another great start today, that's going to be putting the league on notice because this is going to be a tough matchup for a lefty like him to get through.
Yeah, he will start to be a guy that you have to sort of pay attention to if he mows down these Dodgers.
Yeah. All in all, give me if these guys are going to be comparably priced, give me Maeda. I like the matchup a little bit better.
Give me whatever Cubs I can get on the site where Chris Bryant's 3,600 and at 1% ownership. Anthony Rizzo's 3,700 at 1% ownership. Javi Baez unowned. Kyle Schwarber 1% ownership.
I like the Dodgers side a little more.
I like the I like the Kike Turner Dave Freeze piece.
What about Pollock though? He's so good against lefties. He's 3,600 on DraftKings.
Yeah, the DraftKings price is stupid. He's 3,400 on FanDuel. That's fine. He grades out, like I got some of him. It's not an issue, but that DraftKings price is something that we definitely want to point out. I prefer the Cubs, but I did get to Dodgers, and I got to the Dodgers more than the public.
Man, that is so cheap.
That's how I feel about Chris Bryant at 3,600 or Anthony Rizzo at 3,700 for a first baseman. Like,
yeah.
Anthony Rizzo has a 142 projected weighted runs created plus from Steamer. That's the best of any single person in this game outside of Cody Bellinger, who is one tick higher than that. But Rizzo hits third and Bellinger hits sixth. That's a massive difference.
Yep.
Especially, like, if this game were in LA, I would be getting even more Cubs just because of the guaranteed extra plate appearances.
Right. All in all, though, you've got two pretty low totals, 4 and 4.1, around that mark.
Wait, hold on. I have like a full extra run, which is driving everything that I'm saying.
Wait, for who?
Both.
Who? What do you?
So the total is 8. Okay, so I have it in here as 9.5.
So you got it wrong, right? You're saying?
Yeah, I did. So everything that I just said is useless.
Okay, because I was a little bit surprised to see the total that you were that high on the hitters.
Yeah, so that was one of them that didn't have a line until we started, and I think that 5 Dimes hung a incorrect total on the dashboard in front of me. Yeah, less interest across the board in. I still like the Cubs if they're totally unowned. I will have very much less interest in the Dodgers, and this will push Maeda and Quintana up a little bit more. They're still going to be my third and fourth pitchers behind Wheeler and Corbin, which we're going to get to. But yeah, that will mute the offense now.
It doesn't change my opinion of the Dodgers much at all. I mean, Quintana's good, but just given the Dodgers' power upside from the right side of the plate and how cheap they are, I have no problem getting to some Dodger righties here.
Same. I never have any problem going to either one of these guys in any form just because so many of them have massive power upside.
Right.
Astros and Twins. 5-run implied total for the Stros, 4.4 for the Twins. 57% chance to win for Houston. Wade Miley going for the Astros. Michael Pineda going for the Twins. Neither guy getting ownership. Neither guy should. Any interest in Miley or Pineda?
No, sir.
Okay. No real ownership going to the Astros or the Twins. It's a little light on Stros on FanDuel and DK. Nelson Cruz is getting a lot of one-off love for Minnesota. I did not really get to the Astros. I did not really get to the Twins outside of Cruz. Do you want to stack up either one of these teams here? Because I'm not seeing a lot that I like.
Not particularly, no. Houston's total is, I'd say, a little bit surprising, but not entirely. It has more to do with their offense than it does with Pineda. I can say that pretty confidently. And Wade Miley's just been one of those guys that you don't roster him because very rarely does he give you anything that's of value. On DraftKings, you need to win to get close to 20 fantasy points, even on a good start. He usually gives up a couple of runs, maybe a home run, but not much. He like Wade Miley is a pretty serviceable lefty. He is. And he's not a guy that you play much. He's not a guy that you roster guys against very often. But one thing is for certain, and I'll keep this short because there really isn't much here. Wade Miley is a lot of balls are going to be put in play against Wade Miley today.
Yeah.
Like a lot.
Yeah.
So it just depends if they have eyes or, if they're hitting gloves.
Very true. Implied total looks nice. George Springer grades out well. These guys are just like, I don't want to say they're overpriced. They just feel like properly priced.
Right. I agree. I agree. Like Pineda's not that bad.
No.
I know he got rocked last time out. Pineda will have some games where he collapses. What does our ownership look like on Houston? That could really change my opinion.
Nobody higher than 9%.
That makes me like Houston a lot more then.
Yeah. Altuve and Bregman are at 9. Springer and Correa 7, 6. Brantley 3.
Okay. That definitely piques my interest. Yeah. It does, because Pineda over the entirety of his career, he has been somebody that when he begins to unravel, he cannot stop fall. He cannot, prevent himself from just completely imploding.
Yeah, like a 3-run Michael Brantley home run is a pop-up I feel like I'll see. Right.
I'm more interested in them. Not interested in Minnesota. I definitely like Houston, given that ownership. I really do. And I think, yes, you're not going to get massive discounts on these guys, but you're also not paying a huge premium either. Like, they're not wildly overpriced. Yeah, Houston could be a team that ends up being at the top of my list today.
I assume we agree that Nelson Cruz is the best bat in this game, though.
In the entire game?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair to say.
Just righty lefty. Dude's got massive power. 3,700 on FanDuel. Like, I can't advocate going to Springer at 4,700 when Nelson Cruz is $1,000 cheaper and he gets a lefty.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, this one should be fun. Rockies and Nats. 4.7 run implied total for the Rockies, 5.3 for the Nats. I believe it's Jeff Hoffman going for Colorado. Shout out East Carolina. And I should be Corbin for the Nats. Are you seeing anything other than Hoffman for the Rockies?
I wasn't. Let me just make sure that we're on the same. I tell you right now, I can confirm this for you.
Well, he's still listed on the betting sites as like undecided. So
right. So hold on one second. Let's hear it.
I've got Hoffman in.
MLB.com still has to be determined.
Okay. Ultimately, I don't care. I'm not rostering Jeff Hoffman.
No.
And it's not making any difference to me. The Nats are the chalk stack across the board, every single site, and they should be. Jeff Hoffman is not what they wanted him to be. Never really made it back after his arm trouble. He got hurt and then got drafted, and they still paid him off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, got at the ECU.
Sure.
I will have some Nats. I'll be under the field because they're heavily chalky, but I still will have some exposure. They look like the best potential option here. But let's start with Corbin. Corbin is projected for 9% ownership on Yahoo, 8% ownership on FanDuel, 17 on DraftKings. Corbin is my favorite pitcher on FanDuel, my second favorite pitcher on DraftKings, and my second favorite pitcher on Yahoo. Love Corbin here. Don't care about Colorado whatsoever, or don't care about Coors at all here. How do you feel about Corbin?
I want to know your reason for that, and then I'll see if we're on the same page.
I think people overreact to the effects of Coors on a given basis, and I'll bet more on Pat Corbin's talent than the ballpark.
Okay. Well, I would take it a step further. His best pitch is clearly far and away the slider.
Yeah.
The slider's impact at Coors does not really change.
Right.
That's a big deal. Last year he had a 30% whiff rate on the slider. Ridiculous. Just flat out ridiculous numbers.
Yeah.
That is something that you look at and will give you a little bit of confidence there. Now, how does this Rockies team hit the slider? I want to see that because, and I'm just the process.
No, this is great.
I want to see that because we know that Nolan Arenado and guys like Trevor Story versus lefties at home are, arguably that Arenado and Story versus lefties at home, arguably the best spot in all of baseball that you could pick. Like if you say, give me one batter that you love in a spot that you feel most confident about, any park, any matchup, I'd probably say Arenado or Story against a lefty at Coors.
Arenado in particular too.
Right. So against the slider, Story and Arenado are pretty much just okay. Nothing spectacular. Going back to the start of last season, yeah, they are not great. Not great against it. Pretty much league average against the pitch. Arenado was, 95th among, I guess I should do qualified batters. That would make sense. Among qualified batters, Arenado was not at the top. I can tell you that much. He was probably around 50 or so, Josh. He came in, 48th or so. Yeah, no, sorry, 51st. He was 51st against the slider. Now, mind you, between 40 and 50, it's very, very close.
Sure.
And then Trevor Story was 67. So, yeah.
Yeah, 23% aggregate K rate for this projected Rockies lineup. Lots of swing and miss in Story, even against the lefty. Dahl, Reynolds, Desmond, Butera. The pitcher spot. Don't get the sense that Jeff Hoffman's going to be a major issue if it ends up being him. Yeah, we have 8% projected ownership on FanDuel. I got 29. This is the spot that I will be most different than the field.
I agree with you.
Yeah, the Colorado the fear of Coors, I think is like course corrected too far, and
especially at this time of year,
right?
Like, that to me also I think is a big difference. I mean, it's going to be mid 60s. Sometimes we're seeing 80 plus degree temperatures. That also makes a difference at Coors, but the temperatures aren't that crazy.
No. So I'm loading up on Corbin here. He looks fantastic. And like I said, number one pitcher for me, dollar for dollar on FanDuel. I will certainly take my chances.
Yep, I'm with you, man.
And then, like I said, it's hard to not want to like the Nats bats. I pretty much like them up and down. I don't have any hot takes for you. Big implied total, great matchup. Take what you can get. I'll be under because of just the way that I approach baseball, but they're clearly the best stack on a dollar for dollar basis.
I would love them against the lefty.
Sure.
Even more. But I don't think anyone's shaking, in fear about this matchup with Hoffman either.
No.
Not at all. I do want to see that, like, his ground ball rate, by the way, has been kind of all over the place. I think he's probably a league average guy in that sense. So that's cool. I don't think Hoffman's like bad. I don't think he's bad.
He's bad.
You think he's bad? I don't know if he's bad. I just don't think he's any good either. Like if you were to put
Semantics.
Hoffman on, I guess if you were to put Hoffman on a, outside of Coors, I don't know if you'd be just like loading up against him every start, but maybe we'll see.
I think I probably would.
I mean, a 5.4 total for Washington is lower than it was yesterday against Tyler Anderson.
Yeah, that surprises me.
Right? It's kind of weird.
Yeah, we'll see where it moves.
Right. Again, I'm not saying he's good, and I expect him to get beat up. I just love Washington stacks against lefties even more. They set up nicely, especially with Bryce Harper no longer in the lineup. Do you have any interest though in Rocky stacks?
I
Because
do.
okay, because you still have again a lot of really, really, really ridiculous righty versus lefty bats that are just capable of doing immense amount of damage against kind of whoever it is. And the big thing here is if Corbin does labor through the first couple of innings, Washington's bullpen has been really bad. We all like Washington's bullpen, I think, has the worst ERA in baseball this season.
It's because both of these teams, between them and the Orioles, they live too close to Adam, and he's just like a drain on everything.
Very possible.
But no, I'm cool with the Rockies. I didn't get to a little bit under the field, not following the story chalk, even though I understand why it's happening. But Blackman, Hampson, Arenado, Story will be a group of guys that I get a couple times. I want to have exposure to this game just because it's Coors, but the real appeal to me is Corbin.
And I don't disagree with that at all. You're getting him at a real discount, and his arsenal does work or should work better than most at Coors.
Yeah.
I was surprised to see Nola's curveball work so well there. When he buckled down in the last few innings, he had it on a rope. But with Corbin, you don't really have to worry about that. The slider's nasty.
Let's go Pat Corbin. I'm excited.
Should end well.
3 to go. Angels and Yankees. 4.3 run implied total for the Angels. 4.5 for the Yanks. 52% chance to win for New York. Chris Stratton going for the Angels. I started the day thinking this was Herman Marquez. Now I think that it's Jonathan Loaisiga. Are we confirming Loaisiga today?
Let me tell you.
That's what's on the betting sites now. Oh, now it's back to Herman.
Yeah, Loaisiga out of the bullpen.
Okay, so back to Herman. That changes things.
Got switched back. So, yeah, Domingo Herman against the Angels. Okay. Why do the Angels, maybe you can help me with this. Why do the Angels continue to get these ridiculously high run totals at Angel Park? I don't get it, dude. I don't like against Marco Gonzalez, they were at like 5.2, which is insane. What the hell is it? They're not good. Mike Trout cannot account for 2 runs himself.
Maybe he can. Maybe
well,
he can.
Technically he can, but from a Vegas standpoint, no way.
I mean, I have the weighted runs created plus for this Angels lineup at 111. So, I think it can.
I mean,
it's 13 points higher than this Yankees lineup.
Go ahead and go down the Angels lineup.
Sure. Cole Calhoun 104, Trout 187. That'll carry
that
some
this
weight.
Year?
This is their projection via Steamer.
Okay.
Justin Bour 113, Simmons 103, Pujols 99, Brian Goodwin 89, LaCroix 97, La Stella 97, Zach Cozart 92.
Okay. So collectively fine, but that's still one of 9 batters.
Yeah.
Like, unless you're giving him immense opportunity with runners on base, I want to look at this individually as a 1 through 9. And Cozart, LaCroix, Bour has been god awful, but he does have power. And Drelton Simmons doesn't strike out, but no power whatsoever. Cole Calhoun, I guess if it's a good day, fine.
So what are you advocating against the Angels game total?
No, just every day that they have too high of a projection.
Yeah. 4.3 today is what I
No,
have.
not today. It's fine. Today it's finally like
Normal to you?
finally normal. Yeah, I think 4.3 is fine. But just the past week or so, it's been ridiculous, even at home.
You going to go to Herman?
I like Domingo Germán. He's good. I just don't know if the strikeouts are there in this matchup.
I agree. 19% aggregate K rate for the Angels in this spot. That is a very low number. I would guess one of the lower of the entire slate. So, yeah, I don't have much interest in Herman. I don't have much interest in this game. Gleyber Torres is chalky on FanDuel and DK. I guess I see it, but I'm not really interested. You can talk me into Calhoun, Trout, Bohr, but the rest of the Angels lineup isn't terribly appealing to me, as we just went over a lot of like league average-ish guys. So, outside of Trout, I'm good.
Me too. Mike Tauchman has shown that he's got a good amount of raw power. He went 0 for 6 yesterday. Pretty amazing. But prior to that, he had been crushing the ball.
Steamer's not a fan.
Yeah, well, they don't need to be. I don't base everything off of that. I know it's not right, but
I was just throwing that out there.
Yeah, some of these guys, like, dude, baseball is so unbelievably tough to project guys that have never played at the major league level.
Oh, for sure.
Like, Steamers is definitely our best way to guess. Like, it's definitely our best guess, no question. But God, it's so frequent that certain players just, end up being way better or way worse than anybody expected them to be. Or sometimes they take 4 years to find their swing.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But overall, no. I even with Tauchman, I don't think any of these guys are really necessary on this slate, and it's not a good lefty park anyway. It's not a friendly hitters park whatsoever. But the Angels don't have many strikeouts here, and Chris Stratton just isn't very good.
I wish I had something else to say, but that's really it for this game. This is not the same Yankees lineup as normal, that's for sure.
No.
2 to go.
Isn't it amazing how many injuries they have though? It's mind numbing.
It's insane. We're probably running out of guys on their 40-man.
Right? You're gonna see
like how many hitters could they possibly have? Everybody that's on the 25-man roster, how many hitters in the other 15 are there? 6 maybe? Probably more pitchers than hitters. Like, got to be running thin.
Yeah. You know what? Aaron Boone's going to come up to Tanaka and be like, if Shohei Ohtani can do it, so can you. You're batting cleanup, son. and you're pitching tomorrow.
To put a uniform on. Well, I mean, I guess just get out there, since for some strange reason, baseball managers dress like the players. I'll never understand it. Can you imagine if, like,
it is weird, isn't it?
Imagine if Mike Malone was in a Nuggets jersey.
Yeah, or if Bill Belichick came out wearing a Patriots jersey.
Oh my God, he would look so stupid. And over top of the hoodie.
With the pants.
You gotta wear basketball shorts and stuff too.
Now, does he wear a helmet?
I think
because in baseball they wear the forwards hat.
Yeah, I would say no on the helmet. It's not like Boone's in there with the batting helmet on.
That's true. But I mean, he does wear the same thing as they wear in the field.
It's the dumbest thing in the world.
It is silly, isn't it? Even the same trousers.
Just get like a half zip pullover with the Yankees logo on, like whatever team you are, and like track pants.
Right. I don't think you should wear a suit either. That would look kind of weird. Right. I don't think you need a suit.
No.
It really is unique. You're absolutely right. I mean, or like a hockey coach having you picture it without pads, it looks even funnier.
It's
baggy
and
so
loose. Stupid. It's so stupid.
It really is. Baseball's got its tradition.
I mean, soccer's got it down pat. You have like 2 different styles of managers. You have guys that wear suits and are dressed like really nice and like business attire, and then you have guys that wear like athletic gear for the team. A half zip pullover and track pants and some New Balance or something. Like,
yeah,
just like you're a normal person. Why are we playing this make believe game where all the coaches dress up in baseball uniforms? It's like some weird cosplay.
And I just looked this up. The tradition of managers and coaches wearing uniforms began in the 19th century.
Oh my
At the
god!
birth
I
of
think we can break
baseball.
free of that. Like nobody needed to see Bobby Cox for 162 games rolling out in the
So what
Braves
do you
uniform.
advocate they wear?
Just like a dress like Bill Belichick for all I care. Just wear like team
Can they, but
sweatpants and a
like,
hoodie.
would you want it to be uniformly decided across the board? They all wear like a pullover, or they all wear a long sleeve tee, or can they choose what they'd like to wear? Like
No, wear whatever you want. It just has to be like team related. You can't wear like a Balenciaga polo or something.
Okay, so you actually still like the idea of them wearing something team related, because in basketball they don't. It's just the suit and tie.
Yeah, that's stupid too.
All right, can they wear their hat backwards?
I mean, I don't care.
Okay.
People would freak out.
Can they wear flip flops?
No, that's silly.
Okay.
Depends
What
where.
would
If you're like
what
the
if-
manager of the Padres, I think you probably
I was
can.
gonna say, what if you're a manager of the Marlins?
Yeah.
What if you're Don Mattingly? Can you rock the flops?
Nobody's
Can you
gonna
rock
give a
the
shit.
Jesus?
Nobody's watching.
Can you rock the Jesus sandals with socks?
No one can ever anywhere.
Yeah, you should be fired immediately for doing something like that. Coming out in a pair of Crocs or something. Get out of here.
We just don't need that in sports any longer. Just dress like normal people.
If they advocated for Crocs, I'd be like, no, I think the full uniform looks great.
Yeah, it's.
Stick with what you've got.
I'll never get it. I'll never get it. Thinking about NBA coaches wearing jerseys is, I think, the funniest one of all of it.
What is
Because
that?
they're like short sleeves and stuff.
Say it again.
NBA coaches wearing basketball jerseys.
That would look really funny.
Imagine
Yeah.
Phil Jackson on the sideline in a Bulls jersey.
With the shorts on too. Oh my god! But also picture Andy Reid wearing a jersey with the football player pants.
Oh no!
Oh,
I mean, the pants will probably work. He needs that elasticity.
Yeah, they'd work as Spanx.
Uh,
I imagine the baseball manager, like you're putting on the uniform in front of the mirror. You got to look at yourself and be like, why am I wearing this 162 times?
It's so bizarre.
It is. You're right. You're absolutely right. It's strange.
I mean, for the most part, and not even for the most part, the manager will put on the uniform more than every player on the roster.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be a day where, like, you're off, you're sick, you're on the injured list.
You're
like,
right.
of the 25 guys,
right.
you probably wear 21, more than 21 of them.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
And that's not how that should work.
It is a bizarre tradition.
Do they have numbers? They do have numbers, right?
Can
you imagine getting to the team and be like, 64 is taken.
Third
Third base coach has got it.
Hold on. They do. Gabe Kapler is number 22.
I'm sorry. I'm not giving the bullpen catcher $10,000 to get my uniform number back.
Right? Oh God, that's
I'll
great.
buy him lunch, I guess.
Yeah. That is incredible. Oh, hey, who's number 3? Oh, that's Jose Flores, first base coach. Yeah. Crazy.
It's the weirdest thing in the world.
Crazy.
Oh, God. Sports are going to look so different in 50 years.
I don't know about that. Baseball has not changed some aspects at all.
Well, they're either going to change or they're going to not exist. So, I mean, not a lot of people are growing up like, I can't wait to be Lou Piniella. I mean, think about Tommy Lasorda at like 70 years old.
Walter.
Like, think about that game where Tommy Lasorda fell over, or like when Pedro Russell, what's his name, to the ground. He's out there in a uniform.
That's what makes it look so much worse.
Yeah.
Like, your body type, you are not a player. You do not look like a player. That's okay.
Yeah.
But don't dress like one.
Oh my God.
All right. Did we just really sidetrack this with 2 games to go?
To be fair, at least it was mildly related to baseball.
Fully related to baseball, actually.
So think about how much worse this would have went if our pre-show conversation had happened. I could have gone for 45 minutes and not realized we did it.
That could have been rough, yeah.
A's and Rangers. Don Zimmer, yeah. 4.3 run implied total for the A's, 3.8 for the Rangers. 57% chance to win for the A's. Frankie Montas going for Oakland. Lance Lynn going for Texas. Montas, 18% expected ownership on Yahoo, $30. 21% expected ownership on DraftKings, $7,600. I like Montas here. He's a guy that I would like to get exposure to. I think he looks really nice as an SP2 in the middle tier salary, especially in this park. How do you feel?
Yeah, and I totally see where you're coming from. There are swings and misses, there are strikeouts here. I guess the question is, can Montas get them? He has not shown much in the way of getting strikeouts, but okay, so I wanted to pull up swinging strike rate against lefties because I think you'd agree that's pretty important here against this specific team.
Yeah, and he's mostly just like a hair above average in a couple things in this spot.
Yeah.
And the park is kind of just bailing him out.
Right. Last year, he had a 6% swinging strike rate against lefties. My God. This year, it's at 11.5%, but we saw more of him last year. Also against lefties, this season, 22% Ks. He's faced 36 of them. God, it's just the fact that like he 12% strikeouts. I thought so against lefties last year. Boy, that is ugly. I mean, if you think he can get the Ks here against the Rangers, then I see where you're coming from. That's the only thing for me is this is a Rangers team outside of Globe Life. You know, not all that imposing, but also a team that can do some serious damage as well, particularly from the left side of the plate. I will also say, though, that Elvis Andrus potentially being out of the lineup could really benefit Montas. Andrus is a pure contact bat that will not strike out. You're likely going to replace him with someone that does strike out. It's only one batter, but to me, that could make a significant difference against Montas at a good pitcher-friendly park.
Yeah, I agree. Look, I don't have anything that stands out fantastically. He just kind of grades out as, like a hair above that salary. If he's 21% owned, Eric Swanson is 7,700, and we're about to talk about him. I would pivot to Swanson, who's getting less ownership, and I think is a relative equal here. I understand why Montas is getting the ownership. He's the third most expensive pitcher on FanDuel, which is super dumb. Don't need to do that one with any sort of regularity. But on the two pitcher sites, I think he is a feasible option because of pitching in Oakland, which makes average pitchers look slightly better.
Yeah, I don't think you're crazy whatsoever. I voiced my concerns. I think you would agree with most.
Oh yeah, no issue whatsoever. He's not what So if he is 21% owned, I think that Frankie Montas works as a cash pitcher. He's not the type of guy that I see as like a really high upside arm in a GPP scenario.
No, he's just not.
I like him more in cash.
Josh, ready? Here's a good question for you. On Yahoo. Frankie Montas, Luke Weaver, Trent Thornton are all $30.
Yes.
I would enter Ponce de Leon into the conversation at 31, but I already know you don't have any interest in him.
You are right.
Whereas I think he can get a good amount of strikeouts. My guess is he'll be completely unowned, but I haven't looked yet. So Thornton, Weaver, Montas. Thornton against San Fran, Weaver against Pittsburgh, in Pittsburgh, Montas at home against the Rangers. All of them $30. Who do you like most here?
I have them separated by 0.9 of a fantasy point.
Okay.
I have Weaver at 5.1 Ks, Montas at 5.3, and Thornton at 5.4. They might as well be the three same things. I would say that Weaver is last. And
give me your opinion. Whose upside do you like the most here?
I can't even give you that. They're all separated by like 0.6% in how often they hit their target score. So what I would do in this spot, Trent Thornton's getting no ownership. Frankie Montas at 18%, Weaver at 6%. Thornton would be my priority there if I were playing a GPP.
Me too.
Frankie Montas would be the guy that I would go to if I were playing cash. Luke Weaver gets left out.
I would agree with that. Frankie Montas is a much better cash play. Thornton, to me, the upside just seems to be higher here. I mean, Mon- Montes, he just doesn't miss a lot of bats.
No,
What are you doing with hitters in this game now?
very little. I have some exposure to the A's, who are getting zero love whatsoever. I need to point out that we have Lance Lynn projected for a lot of ownership on Yahoo or on FanDuel, by the way.
I think Lance Lynn is a pretty decent play.
29% expected ownership on DK, 27 on Yahoo, 18 on FanDuel.
Oh, that's really high.
Yeah, so I don't like him anywhere.
I will tell you why I think he's a good play quickly. Lance Lynn throughout the entirety of his career has been a much, much, much better pitcher against righties.
Yeah.
Like super pronounced splits throughout his entire career. Also at home, but that's when he was with the Cardinals for so long. You're going to see a lot better numbers against right-handed pitching. You know, if you go back to 2017, he has a 12.4% swinging strike rate against righties, 8.2% against lefties. Not only has he held righties to a sub 300 WOBA for his career, as a matter of fact, he's held them to a 280 WOBA for his career. Really, really good. And a 26% K rate compared to a 345 WOBA to lefties and 17% strikeouts. Also, 0.59 home runs per nine to righties, 1.06 to lefties. Just massive disparities against lefties and righties. Probably going to get an Oakland lineup with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 righties in it. It does profile nicely for Lance Lynn, especially given the fact that your lefties are like Kendrys Morales and Jurickson Profar.
Yeah, Lynn grades out fine. I prefer Montes to Lynn.
Okay.
And that's mostly due to the fact that Montes is lucky enough to be able to pitch against the Rangers, whereas Lynn has to face just a murderer's row of sluggers across the center of that A's lineup. No, he gets the benefit of a lot of righty on righty, but yeah, I just find it easier. I mean, it's not like I really want to have a ton of exposure to bats anyway. No one's projected for north of 10% ownership. I didn't get more than 10% ownership on any hitter in either side on any site. So
yeah.
This is mostly just sort of I'll take what I can get of these mid-tier arms.
Just the biggest thing for me is Lynn does a great job of preventing power.
Sure.
Last year he had a lot of trouble walking lefties, and then a bloop single or a double or whatever drives them in, but really prevents power in a huge way against right-handers. Having no Matt Olson in the lineup still is another huge factor here. Yeah, I think that the ownership makes Lynn a lot less enticing, but I totally understand why there would be interest in him. I really understand why.
So do I. Final game. We're at the 2-hour mark because that's us.
Well, it's 13 games.
Sure. 4.3 run implied total for the Padres, 3.7 for the Mariners, 56% chance to win for San Diego. Who's starting for the Padres? Nick M. Nick M on the hill.
Come on, do it.
Margevicius.
Nice. Margevicius.
So it's the hard G, Margevicius. I would have said it like a J.
I've seen it Margevicius.
Okay. Nick M going for the Padres. Eric Swanson going for Seattle. Nick M, 35% ownership on Yahoo, 23% on DraftKings. Swanson at 9 and 8 on both of those sites. I greatly prefer Eric Swanson to Nick M in this spot. How do you feel about the starters here? How do you feel about Nick M getting 23% ownership, the most of anybody from 7K or lower?
23% ownership on Margevicius is crazy, in my opinion.
Ding, ding, ding.
I do not whatsoever understand how or why this could be the case. I really don't get it. I mean, maybe I'm in the wrong here. I don't see it. Like I don't
understand it more on Yahoo, where he's the flat 25 minimum for pitchers.
Is it that he struck out 30% of the righties he's faced and has a 288 xFIP against them and 53 batters? I don't know. Maybe. I guess there are a few things here, but I could say pretty confidently that those numbers are going to decline.
Safe bet.
Like very confidently that K rate is going to come down pretty precipitously. Markovich's the highest level he pitched at was what, high A before coming here. I'm not saying that should discredit him entirely. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that I don't really think, number one, that this is a spot you want to be loading up on him. That's what surprises me the most. Like Encarnacion, Healy, who else do we have here? They have some injuries, but Beckham's been pretty good. Haniger, of course, Santana. You got a bunch of righties here that can make you pay. I know Jay Bruce has been out. Who else? There's one more. I can't remember. Seager, we don't even know if he plays this season. So a few of their lefties, what should have been their everyday lefties, aren't in the lineup. But you're going to face a slew of power righties here. Josh, that is so surprising to me. I think it might be the most surprising thing on this slate, actually.
Yeah, I don't get it at all.
I know why. Oh God, how in the world do the Seattle Mariners have a 3.8 total?
I don't know. It's a good question. I have no idea. I didn't get to any of the Mariners though, if that matters.
Yeah, I don't think you need to get there, but I'm just having a tough time understanding where the upside's coming from. And with Markovich's
25% expected K rate via steamer for the Mariners. That's the highest number on this slate if this lineup holds.
God.
You have to get the pitcher batting here, which is a little appealing in a situation where they don't normally bat.
I mean, sure.
I'm just my thoughts.
I hear you.
I don't think that he should be owned the way that he. I don't mind 35% on Yahoo. If you're the flat minimum and you're pitching in Petco, I can get behind that a little bit. It's different when you're 6,900.
Yeah, hell, maybe you and I are just way off the mark.
I mean, he grades out as a passable starter, but the people that are playing 23% of them are very incorrect.
Markovich is going to be way low owned than sure, but at that ownership, like, just be different.
Yeah.
Meaning that it's very unlikely that by following everyone else and going Markovich's, it's very unlikely that's going to be the reason you have an amazing night.
Right.
I just think getting away from him at that ownership is too easy. And I also, you said 25%. I don't know where are the strikeouts really coming from here? I mean,
1 to 7.
I guess Encarnacion, not a high K guy. He's not.
23% strikeout rate in steamer. Got to be north of that. Just coming from. I mean, it's gonna be really hard to mess his strikeout rate up.
I guess you could take steamer, or you could take his last 3 years, and he's at 20% strikeout rate against lefties.
Oh, you're talking lefties. Okay.
Yeah, of course I'm talking lefties. He's Markovich's is a lefty.
Yeah, I don't care about strikeout splits like that.
Really? I think it's super important. I mean, really?
I don't adjust for it at all.
Seriously, you don't adjust for the fact that a guy like certain guys strike out significantly more against lefties and righties, huh?
I think the regression would be too aggressive, and it works itself out in the aggregate.
Do you not have splits? Do you have like ISO and power splits against lefties and righties?
I use wholesale splits, so I will adjust for like talent if you're facing a righty or lefty, but I don't do it on the components.
Wow. Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, only because like we know that certain batters hit lefties or righties way better than hit way better with the platoon advantage than they do.
Yeah. So like I adjust for the matchup. So if we say that someone's talent is 100 on average and they're facing a righty or a lefty, that will be like 105 versus a righty, 95 versus a lefty. Like the aggregate of it all gets adjusted, but I don't address those splits on the components.
All right.
I think well, in my experience, the regression ends up bringing them, so far back towards the mean that the sample size when that normalizes is way bigger than you ever really get to.
So, I mean, you know more about that stuff than I do. I mean, I fully believe that platoon splits are a real thing. Maybe not for all guys.
Yeah,
Some
no, then that's not what I'm trying to say.
I know what you're saying. But I'm saying if they are, wouldn't the K rate also factor into that?
A little bit. It's just such a massive amount of plate appearances to normalize those sorts of rates, so that from all of my experience in it'll basically come out in the wash for like the entire team. So if Encarnacion does come down slightly here, then Jay Bruce is also going up pretty dramatically against lefties. And
Yeah,
when
sure.
push comes to shove, it's all spitting it out in like a same general way.
Bruce, also for what it's worth, I don't know if he's going to be in the lineup.
Sure.
I'm assuming he will because he was available to pinch hit, but I don't know. Either way, bottom line is I don't see Markovich as being a guy that I'm super excited about at all, especially not at that ownership. I agree with you. I'd rather go with Swanson and just hope that this guy can go out there and give you some strikeouts. Last start, I had interest in him as well because he's been cheap and showed a decent amount of K upside. Really, what more can we ask for? Hope that he goes 5 or 6 innings and gets you 6 or 7 strikeouts. There's no way I'm touching him at $77 on DraftKings, though. That's kind of the thing here. Like, I think that's too much for Eric Swanson.
He grades out like okay for me. 7,700 is a lot. I see him as basically a coin flip to Montes, actually. So I don't mind offloading Montes ownership to Swanson, but
for me, it's like just all day give me Trent Thornton at a $700 discount than Swanson. I like the matchup better, and I think the Giants are a lot less potent.
Well, I'm with you there. I'm a Thornton guy. I like a little bit of the top of the Padres stack. They're not getting any real ownership, but I didn't get any real Mariners bats. This game's just sort of like off the table for me for the most part.
The weird thing, though, is if Markovich is going to be that popular and you're getting a slew of right-handed bats for the Mariners, it would make sense to consider them.
Yeah, so everything that ends up coming out of my mouth is FanDuel based, and he's not getting any ownership on FanDuel. So on DK or on Yahoo, yeah, I agree. I like the idea of having a little bit of a hedge to the Mariners.
Like Markovich has faced the Giants twice. Arguably the worst or definitely a bottom 3 offense in baseball. St. Louis, who's good against them, I'll take nothing away from that, had 1 strikeout, though. And then Colorado gave up 5 runs. That was not in Colorado either. Really only one kind of tough matchup here. So I'll finish with this. The 3.8 run total for Seattle, to me, is shocking.
It surprises me too. I mean, I guess that's just Petco for you.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Honestly, it surprises me.
I mean, if it's Petco, then San Diego being 4.3 against Swanson should be lower. Half a run higher for San Diego against Swanson than Seattle against Markovich's. I don't know.
$13 games up, 13 games down, 2 hours and 8 minutes. What are you going to do?
Absolutely nothing. Pretty good show. Yeah. Fun show.
Sometimes you got to go off on a tangent about baseball managers wearing uniforms.
What are you going to do, man? You don't get that anywhere else now, do you?
No, you do not. So, here's the deal. We've got Adam writing the deep dive today. It should be out in the early afternoon. Deeper dive. You guys going to go 4:45 or 5 o'clock today?
We'll go. I mean, I think we could probably do 5. We just got to start at 5.
Okay. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 o'clock today for the deeper dive. Live before lock today, myself and Chris Spags taking you all the way up until lock. I got nothing else. Today. Thank you very much to Yahoo. Let me drop that link back here in the chat. If you want to sign up at Yahoo, please do it through this link. This is what helps us the most. And if you do it, you enter the promo code AWESOMO, you can get up to $30 of Yahoo Sports rewards points into your account as a bonus.
YSRPs.
Get them YSRPs. Thank you very much to Yahoo. Yeah, we will be back. We got 2+ hours more of baseball content coming up. Spotlight Pitchers article will be up shortly. Couldn't get it out. I had plenty of time to get it out earlier today, but there were just way too many games that didn't have lines or hell starters for that matter. So I'm going to drop that out in like the next hour. Hit that like button on your way out the door. And subscribe to the channel. That's all. Laffy, anything else?
After 2+ hours, even I don't have anything left to say.
There we go. Best of luck, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We'll talk to you again later.